3 letters, M-U-D. Today on Xtreme 4x4, this full-size Chevy gets stripped naked as Ian and Jesse transform a clunker into a mud bog beast. Plus, high alpine wheeling, Rocky Mountain style.
To say that a lot of wild trucks get built here at Xtreme 4x4 would be an understatement. Everything from big block powered trail killers like our S10 to nice little trail buggies like our diesel powered Suzuki.
We've built some lifted street trucks, a pile of Jeeps, and even a full-blown race truck. But even with that long list of vehicles, there's still some Xtreme 4x4s that we haven't even gotten to.
And so today we're gonna jump feet first into an area of our hobby that a lot of you guys have been asking us to do ever since the show's been on the air, and that is mud bogging.
Those of you into it know what it is, but those of you scratching your heads, it's hardcore, full throttle, deep, sticky mud.
High horsepower, big tires, screaming engines, mud flying. Basically, just a good old time.
And we picked up this 87 GMC 3/4 ton pickup because it's a pretty popular platform. Plus it's easy to shed a lot of weight to help it go faster. And you got all this room in the engine compartment so you can use any engine and transmission combination that you choose.
Now if this truck is gonna be a mud racer, it's gonna have to go on a pretty serious diet. That's gonna include almost every body panel on the whole truck.
This truck's already had a lot of work done to it, but we're gonna strip it to the frame.
That way we'll know exactly what we're working with. Lose the parts that are just extra weight, bolt in what we need, and get ready for the mud.
There's only 4 bolts holding this cab on. Taking it off will make pulling the motor much easier. Now the one constant with mud boggers is high horsepower engines. And this baby that we just pulled out is a 400 cubic inch small block, an engine that you can pull a lot of power out of with a stroker crank and some high flow heads. And since we have one awesome engine build team right down the hallway, we thought that they would really like to build this one.
What is this pile you brought us this time?
This is the best part of the truck we bought, man.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Want some magic worked on that, a lot of power.
What's the plans?
Simple, mud truck, straight, fast, high horsepower, redneck fun.
High horsepower, this little piece of,
That's
you know
a
what?
400 small block, buddy. I've seen you work magic. Do it again, man. Do it again.
Pump gas, race gas?
Oh, really? It doesn't matter. It's just a frame, so sure, race gas. Why not? I leave it up to you guys. Your decision.
Well, power-wise, what are you looking
As
for?
much as we can get.
As much as you can get.
This thing probably would have went a lot faster if it was cleaned up.
Yeah,
Well,
you guys
yeah,
have a
but
pressure washer.
You don't clean the mud trucks.
You got to
yeah,
clean
you
it
do.
to build it.
You just
All right.
cut it up and weld. Anyway, so have fun, guys. We left all the accessories on there for you.
Oh, thanks.
We'll make
We'll
sure you
just
get
follow
them
the
back.
trail. You can follow your trail back to your place.
Yeah.
As much dirt is on this thing.
Thanks, guys.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Now we pulled the body off the frame to make removing the engine and transmission a lot easier. And now that they're out of here, we simply dropped it back on. There's only 4 bolts that hold it in place. And now we can start working on some body panels. Now we'd originally thought about reusing a lot of the stock panels, but they're pretty rusted and pretty beat up. So we got all new ones from LMC Truck. Now these are direct factory replacement panels, and they are in such good shape you honestly could just scuff and shoot these things with a paint job and they would look great. Now these are going to save us time and weight because we don't have to fix the old panels, plus we're going to go in and cut out a lot of the internal structure to make them lighter.
In the rear, we'll just run the bed sides with no floor. This will save us a ton of weight.
On the front, we'll cut out the inner body of both fenders. and then bolt them to the cab.
Once the hood is attached, we'll have a lightweight steel one-piece front end that we can lift off to service the engine.
The doors, we're gonna deal with those later, but bumpers front and rear, them's for city folks.
Now, since this is not a trail truck, we're not gonna need the traditional style of a roll cage. What we need is more of a drag racing style to protect the driver in case of a rollover. And since the back glass is gone, this should make this job really easy.
Now for our cage, we're gonna be using 1 3/4 120 wall DOM bent around a 6-inch radius die. Now this larger size tubing as well as the larger die will help give us a big hoop that we can put over the driver in what's termed as a funny car roll cage. In the cab of this truck, the only person needing a roll cage will be the driver, because we're not gonna have a passenger. Passengers means extra weight, slow us down in the mud.
After the break, 4x4 rock climbing, 2.5 miles straight up. We'll take you four-wheeling in the Rockies when Xtreme 4x4 continues.
Of all the off-road parks we've taken you, this has to be one of the most picturesque, the Colorado Rockies outside of Aspen.
We're talking high alpine wheeling, 12,000-foot elevation, where a couple of must-haves for good day wheeling are some beefy tires and a good camera.
With mountain peaks busting past 14,000 feet, the Colorado Rockies make grown men fawn like new mothers.
Colorado scenery out here is phenomenal. This is what it's all about right here in Colorado.
For some, they don't want to look at these mountains, they want to conquer them.
Hey, let's quit chatting and go four-wheeling.
Littered with hundreds of trails, the Rockies aren't just for bird watchers.
We've been to a lot of different places around the country to wheel, a lot of big name places, and we keep coming back to Colorado. It's hard to match this scenery and the hard trails that we have here.
Just an hour south of Vail sits the Holy Cross City Trail.
This trail says Colorado.
This is classic Colorado high country.
Leading the run was Stephen Watson.
What was once access road for miners just to go to work is now a recreational, scenic, difficult four-wheel drive trail for us.
Ascending 3,500 feet in less than 4 miles, the goal is to reach the Cleveland Rock obstacle at 11,500 feet.
Wheeling at high altitude like this is a whole different ballgame. You'll hear motors bogging down where they normally wouldn't. People are the same way. You'll notice walking around here, everybody's going to be breathing hard. You don't walk and talk quite like you did.
It's not just altitude slowing them down.
Most of it is rock. These are the Rocky Mountains after all.
To get through the rocks and alpine river crossings, these men know to go big.
Tires out here are very important.
The size is really a big deal. There's a lot of rocks in there that will grab your differentials, your axle tubes, your approach and departure limitations, and tire size makes all that smaller. Our smallest tire is a 37. And past that, we jump right up to a 40-inch tire.
At 10,500 feet, they reached French Creek.
The river crossing can be tough. It's slick. Taken out a drive shaft before at the river crossing.
Those with 40s blew right through it.
It's not that easy, but it looked easy.
For Tom Cherry, no obstacle came easy.
It's a rough trail.
Tom battled the Holy Cross City Trail with those 37s.
I went with 37s because that's what I had. It limits me. Airing down the tires for traction is a key thing.
His rubber may limit him, but it hasn't stopped him from sticking with his big tire trail mates.
If you're going to be in this and afraid of tipping the truck or leaning the truck over, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
At French Creek, Tom was fearless.
I'm not nervous. No confidence, no Colorado wheeling.
After getting caught on the rocks, Tom's friends were ready to give him the Pink Panty Award. Tom said, "Put those pink panties away."
That last run was great. Loved it. Feel it hanging up on stuff and banging around, but just kept at it.
With nary a slacker holding them back, by lunch they reached 11,000 feet and the Holy Cross City Mining ghost town.
As you can see, it's a beautiful site. A lot of fun getting up here.
That's the fun part. You can come up just to the city and come look at it, and then when you're ready to play on the big boy obstacles, go up to Cleveland Rock and see what you've got.
At 11.5 sits the Rock.
I don't know if impressed is the word. It looks kind of intimidating.
A slate of rocks, there's only 2 ways up.
And both are extreme.
It's a good thing those winch anchors. We'll probably end up needing them for a few vehicles.
Tom Cherry passed on the winch.
Some of it is finding out just how far you can go before something bad happens. I don't think I'm crazy. I like a challenge.
This challenge was one that Tom couldn't overcome.
The obstacle up there is just too large for the tire, for my size of tires. It's not that frustrating. When I see trucks that are way more capable struggle with it, it'd be nice if I could make them look bad, but with the tire issue, I mean, it's an issue.
His day may have ended in failure, but Tom Cherry doesn't see it like that.
Giving it a try is a good thing. I come out here again with them and do it. I'm happy with myself, my truck, and everything else.
I love to see those full-size Chevys taking on those Rocky Mountains.
And if you want to take the ascent to Cleveland Rock, you better have a good wrench, because one phone call to the Forest Service to get you out can set you back at least $500.
I'd take a whole set of wrenches, not just one.
Hey guys, welcome back to Xtreme 4x4, where today we started tearing into this 87 Chevy pickup, turning it into a killer mud racer truck. So far we've stripped it down to its bare frame, pulled out the drivetrain, and took the engine down to the horsepower guys. Then we hung some lightened up sheet metal, and once we get this new plastic seat that we got from Summit Racing inside the truck, we'll have a place to sit too.
Now for tires and wheels on our mud truck, we went with what could be truly considered an old school setup. On the back, TSL boggers from Interco, 39.5 inches tall, and with their integrated 3-stage lug design, they're basically gonna work like a paddle tire, especially since they have this unique scoop feature built into the lugs. Now before we run these tires, we'll go ahead and cut out these smaller lugs to really give these things some bite in the mud. Now the front, the original TSL Super Swampers, same size as the rear, and these are just basically gonna act like rudders on the truck. They will get some grip in the mud, but they're honestly just there to steer it. And to keep with that old school feel, a set of 15x10 black and chrome modular wheels from Summit Racing. Bead locks really won't be necessary for this type of truck, but what we don't want is the tire spinning on the rim. So we're gonna drill through the outer lip and screw in some rim screws that we got from Summit Racing.
Off-road vehicles share a lot of the same technologies. You'll see desert racing parts on rock crawlers and rock racers. But when it comes to mud boggers, believe it or not, you'll actually see a lot of drag race influences.
Now the rear axle in this truck is a 14-bolt, and it would be plenty strong for what we're building. The problem is it's gonna kill us on weight. So we're gonna pull this out and replace it with a lightweight 9-inch that we can build super strong.
On the front end, we'll be using the original axle, but obviously upgrading the shafts and changing the gears. But we won't know what gear ratio to go with until we get the dyno sheets back from horsepower. For now, we need to take care of the mismatched bolt pattern.
The rear 9-inch has a 5-on-5.5 bolt pattern, just like a Ford pickup. So we grabbed a bunch of outer knuckles for the front end. Once these are swapped in, we'll have the same bolt pattern on all 4 corners. This is a popular swap for you Jeep guys who want a full width 44 but don't want to buy new wheels. Hey guys, welcome back to Xtreme 4x4 and our first ever mud truck. Today, we started with a relatively stock GM K-Series pickup. We gutted the entire thing, and then we hung some stripped down body panels, threw in a roll cage, and swapped the 14 bolt out for a 9-inch rear. And then we swapped out the front knuckles so we could have a matching bolt pattern all around. Now, we get to see what the truck looks like with the Super Swampers on.
And with the engine done in the horsepower shop, we can go ahead and start working on the rest of the drivetrain for this truck. And it's going to start at the transfer case. Now, depending on what class you want to run with your mud bog race truck will determine on how you get power down to that front axle. In open or outlaw classes, guys will just run 2 gears and an external chain on a prop shaft just hanging off the frame. But we don't want to limit ourselves in that situation. So we're going to tear into this new Process 208 stock transfer case. Now, it's a lightweight aluminum case that's found in most K-Series trucks. It has a chain to deliver the power to the front axle, and the low range is accomplished by a planetary gear set inside this front housing. But we're going to be running this truck in high range almost all the time. So we're going to tear this case apart and remove that planetary gear set. That's going to take some of the rotational load off of our drivetrain, and therefore, more power. The first step is to completely tear down the 208. Then remove the planetary gear set and set it aside. With the synchro hub welded in the 4 high position, this case is going to be 4 high all the time.
Now, mud racing is just like any other form of racing. You gotta be prepared for the worst. And when we were out shopping for transfer cases, we picked up 2. That way if something went wrong, we had a backup plan. Now, to make sure we're taking full advantage of the modifications we're making to these cases, we're gonna be filling them with royal purple synthetic gear lube. Not only will it help keep everything cool inside, but it will also provide less drag on the rotating assemblies.
Thanks, dude. Sure. Now, for the transmission on a mud truck, we honestly had a lot of options. We could have used a 700, a turbo 400, or even put a standard back in it. But instead, we're going to use an automatic. And we went to the junkyard and picked up this turbo 350. And we chose this model for a couple different reasons. It's a really simple, small, 3-speed automatic transmission that you can get dirt cheap. We got this one at a local junkyard for 25 bucks. Plus, we've never torn one of these apart here in Xtreme, so it's a new adventure for us. Now, this one is a 2-wheel drive model, but we're going to show you guys how to convert it using an output shaft and an extension housing that we just picked up at a local transmission shop.
We knew that building a Turbo 350 would require a lot of upgraded parts. And those of you that build transmissions know that getting all those parts in one stop is not that easy. But one called Monster Transmission and they had everything we needed thanks to their Monster Box package.
Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to open that today because, well, we're out of time. But the next time we got the mud bog truck back in the shop, we'll rebuild that transmission, hopefully get our engine back from the horsepower guys, see what kind of numbers they came out with.
They better be good.
Oh, yeah, because we want to go like this. It's going to be that loud. Get ready.
Yeah. Wear your earplugs.